This is Andrew Kirby, the guy who not only built a 600,000 subscriber YouTube channel and made over $1 million from it, but he also helped an entrepreneur grow to over 100,000 subscribers. But he's also involved in helping two millionaire dudes build the future billion-dollar company, School.com. And genuinely, he's one of the few people whose knowledge is actually, actionable and not just fluffs and gets you results. So I took some time to synthesize what I learned in terms of growing content for businesses and getting clients from it, even without the need of a huge audience. And so let's first start with Andrew's system for growing content. Unique content, and it's called the optimal audience building system. So I'm going to give an example with Andrew helping an entrepreneur with his YouTube channel, but you could literally apply this to any platform. And so going back to 2023, there was this entrepreneur called Reendorse, and he had like an 8-figure company to help people get more focused with actual science to access this thing called flow state with his co-founder. And so his business model was like pretty simple, like it's pretty known nowadays, but essentially it's a course coaching community type of model, and it's high ticket. And they were targeting athletes and, entrepreneurs, essentially like high performers who were hitting a ceiling on their productivity level. And so for a long time, they were investing money into Facebook ads. And it was working pretty well. But at a point, they've hit a ceiling themselves. They were investing more money into ads, but profitability actually started to decrease. And so Reen decided that the next move is actually creating organic YouTube content. One of the people he hired was Andrew Kirby. And Andrew Kirby at this point was like in his retirement era and like was really bored. And so he went back to work. And so this is when things get interesting by implementing the OABS system, or optimal audience building system. And so it starts by knowing who you're exactly trying to attract. And for Reen, they had a wider audience, but it was still under one word, like professionals. And the second step is knowing where that audience gives their attention. And for this exact example, it was books, podcasts, long-form YouTube videos. And so YouTube made more sense rather than something like TikTok or Instagram. So they focused 100% of their energy on YouTube. The third step is really what made the difference. And so listen closely, because it's about fulfilling an unmet desire. So looking at the productivity space on YouTube, they realized that most people are creating content based on like bro science, or like not so much science, like experience and vibes, or maybe at best what they've learned from books. Really, there wasn't much science apart from maybe like Andrew Huberman. And so looking at it, they noticed a similar pattern in the fitness space, where there were a lot of creators making bro science fitness stuff to, help people grow muscle and whatnot. But they've also noticed that people who created scientifically accurate content in fitness, like Jeff Nippard, kind of owned an entire market, and they owned a unique space. And so they had a better reason to lean into Reen's experience and like scientific background rather than suppressing it, because it's easy for someone with experience to look at the space and say, oh, well, okay, so there are a lot of people creating content that is not a lot of scientifically accurate, and so I can just copy them and do the same, and I'll get the same results, which is totally a backwards thing of thinking about things. And so here we go. They leaned more into the scientific aspect of productivity, flow state. And this is the word that they decided to anchor Reen's brand around. Every time, in every video, he mentions flow state, and he explains flow state in a brief way. Even if you know it, it's more for a reminder, and it's making Reen in your brain more associated with this thing called flow state. And not only that, the timing was also perfect, because there was essentially a lot of productivity content, and people already consumed a lot of that. It's kind of like, people solved their initial problems, but then the more they consume about a productivity, the productivity problem is not getting solved efficiently because it's not based on science. And so people started developing this desire that was not being met by the market. And so boom, here comes Reen with the flow state experience and scientific background. And so it was about targeting a specific audience on the right platform with an unmet desire and leveraging the right experience. And so after like 6 months, Rian grew to over 100,000 subscribers and made a lot of money from that. And it was with the help of Andrew, of course. But then after that, story time. Like 6 months of working on a YouTube channel from ground zero, like that's pretty tough despite Rian having the experience to leverage. And so for someone like Andrew who already has a successful YouTube channel and like now helped a accomplished entrepreneur grow their own YouTube channel from zero to making a lot of money and getting a lot of leads, essentially, a lot of people will think about, okay, let's create my own agency and do more consulting for entrepreneurs. But there was something interesting. There was this YouTuber Hamza with over 1 million, 2 million subscribers about like 2 years ago when he like DM'd Andrew, and he talks about like him not having his channel efficiently monetized despite selling courses. And so what Andrew did, he simply like recorded like a simple video explaining the course coaching community model that Hamza could use to get his audience into and to pay a monthly fee and put all of his courses there. And it will not just be selling courses like before, but it will be a monthly subscription in a community where the members could interact with other members who are essentially interested in the same thing. And Hamza could host weekly calls to further help his audience, all using this platform called school.com. It's definitely more popular right now, but yeah. So Hamza did exactly that, and after like 24 hours he made like 50K. Then Andrew, being the smart man he is, he realized, okay, wait a second. So I spent 6 months helping Rian. That was tough. That was pretty exhausting. I spent like 5 minutes explaining this thing to Hamza, and he made 50K. That's very interesting. And that's when he realized, okay, helping people who already have an audience but don't know how to monetize it is easier than helping someone who has a business and money and helping them build an audience. Andrew actually had contact to the CEO of school, and he was like, hey, Sam, I bet I can get you more users to the platform. And Sam was like, okay, bet. What Andrew did is that he made a high-tech program explaining how to use the platform School as a creator to make money. And so what this essentially did is that it got like 100-ish creators who had a lot of audience but didn't know how to monetize it well. And essentially like these creators obviously created their programs and sold it to their audience. And so it got more users to the platform School. And then Andrew got more involved with the School company and became like started working internally with them. And now if we look at it both ways, if you have a business and you have a lot of experience helping people, you can build an audience from ground up. But also if you have an audience but don't know how to monetize it, you can monetize it with this coach course community type model. But what if you're still a beginner and don't know much? And this last lesson perhaps is the most important because it kind of goes against the concept of creating content in the first place. And I'm going to explain in a second. And so if you're a total beginner to business, obviously you probably don't have experience to create content about in the first place. And so you should start by actually helping people, getting case studies, testimonials, even for free. I would frame it as like the networking model because essentially it's all about networking and connecting with people, creating those genuine connections. And so it goes like this. You go on groups like school communities or like groups on Facebook or Twitter, X, Reddit, whatever. The groups that have the type of audience you want to attract or the same interests, because the algorithm on groups is different from the big platforms because it's easier to get attention there. And how do you get attention? What Andrew teaches is that you essentially comment on posts, you interact with people, or you create posts where you share what you've learned and who you helped and whatnot. And if you haven't helped anyone yet, you based on commenting on other people's posts, you then create some sort of connection when people respond to you and so on. And then you DM them, and you actually DM them with the intent of connecting with them genuinely, because people could sense if you're just trying to sell them And so be aware and create genuine connections. And this worked for me as well. Like the connections I've created from there was so good. Like I even got a mentor from, connecting. And so yeah, this is so far what I've learned. Then you, of course, using that experience of helping people and connecting with them and knowing their problems, doing discovery calls, then you can use that knowledge and that experience to create content. And a better way to create content is, being in a group where other people create content. In the synthesizer group, they focus more on networking because like that's the baseline, and then like content comes later. In fact, like creating content as a beginner is very, very discouraged. But if you have experience like already like helping people and you have case studies and all of that, then I suggest you can join my group in the description where there are other people and resources and direct feedback to actually create content that attracts leads and clients. This is what it's all about. Have a good day, good night, wherever you are.